My reaction to RWBY Chapter 9. Last time on RWBY, all eight of them got together. So Ruby and Weiss actually found a giant monster bird, and that's how Ruby fell out of the sky. John hit Ruby and they both got sent into a tree. And then Weiss had to let go. John jumped to grab him, and then they both fell, and John broke her fall. Then they all decided to escape and make their way to the tower at the end. During the way, the bridge broke, and so some of them got separated. So John, Nora, Pera, and Ren for the giant scorpion, and Ruby, Weiss, Blake, and Yang for the giant bird monster. The fights were awesome, and John, he didn't do a lot of fighting, he did a bit of it. He blocked one of the attacks with his shield, and then he helped find a plan to defeat the scorpion. After Ren attacked the tail, he noticed it was hanging, and Pera hit it with her shield, and then Nora smacked it down into it. Meanwhile, Ruby came up with a crazy strategy to defeat the bird. So first, Blake and Yang tied Blake's whip to the pillars, and then Ruby used that along with Weiss's glyphs to slingshot herself to the bird monster's neck. And so she grabbed the neck with the scythe, and then Weiss made some more glyphs for her to keep going up as fast as she could, and she kept firing downwards to use the recoil to push herself as far up as fast as possible. And when she finally made it to the top, she just cut its head off and it fell down. The whole sequence was awesome. So the slingshot land on the cliff. They keep going upwards, firing, and finally, fights were awesome. So then they all passed. John, Nora, Pira, and Ren were called Team Juniper with John as the leader, and Ruby, Weiss, Blake, and Yang were called Team Ruby with Ruby as the leader. Now they all formed the teams, and they're now officially all set to start Beacon. So let's see how that turns out. This is RWBY Chapter 9, The Badge and the Burden. The episode is starting right now. There's a bird caught. It's got a gun. One fire, one two shields. One. Red 13. I like better when they had the full version in episode 1. In chapter 1. Okay. Weiss. Is she the last one to get up? Ruby! What is she doing?
Good morning, Team RWBY! What in the world is wrong with you?
What's
Now
this?
that you're awake, we can officially begin our
I know
first
she has
order
that.
of business.
Wait.
Excuse me? Decorating! What?
We still have to unpack. And clean.
Yeah. And
Alright! Weiss, Blake, Yang, and their fearless leader Ruby have begun their first mission. Bonsai! Bonsai!
Banzai, they actually said that. Blake's also part of it. Banzai. I don't think they say that. Alright. Ninjas of Love. Blake! What's that? And why are you using that, Ruby? Ruby. Okay, these stuff.
This
The
isn't going
beds.
to work.
It is a bit cramped.
Maybe we should ditch some of our stuff
Or we could ditch the beds and replace them with bunk beds. That sounds incredibly dangerous.
and super awesome.
It does seem efficient.
Well, we should put it to a vote. I think we just did.
Yeah, it's you don't. Tong, tong.
Objective complete.
What's that one for?
All right. Our second order of
What's it?
business is classes.
Oh,
Now, we have a few classes together today. At 9, we've got a big... What? Did you say 9 o'clock? It's 8:55, you done?
5 minutes to go. Hurry up.
To class.
Class?
Go, you four.
We're gonna be late!
They're all in the same room.
monsters, demons,
Ooh.
prowlers of the night.
Hello.
Yes, the creatures of Grimm have many names, but
Okay.
I merely refer to them as prey. Ha ha!
Ruby's Kankas.
And you shall too upon graduating from this prestigious academy. Now, as I was saying, Vale, as well as the other three kingdoms, are safe havens in an otherwise treacherous world. Our planet is absolutely teeming with creatures that would love nothing more than to tear you to pieces. And that's where we come in. Huntsmen, huntresses,
Huntsman. War hunter.
individuals who have sworn to protect those who cannot protect themselves. From what you ask? Why, the
Grimm.
very world.
Hey, yeah.
Who's
That is what you are training to become. But first, a story. A tale of a young, handsome man. Me, when I was a boy.
Even voice is not. Ruby doodling,
Despite
isn't she?
smelling of cabbages, my grandfather was a wise man. Peter, he told me. In the end, the Beowulf was no match for my sheer
Beowulf.
tenacity, and I returned to my village with the beast in captivity and my head held high, celebrated as a hero. The moral of this story? A true huntsman must be honorable. A true huntsman must be
Calm down,
dependable.
voice.
A true huntsman must be strategic, well-educated, and wise. So, who among you
Why is
believes
it for a
themselves
rope?
to be the embodiment of these traits?
I do, sir.
Well then, let's find out. Step forward and face your opponent.
Finally. Oh, ah. Sit. Okay. So the first day of school started. They all had to decorate their rooms, and there was so much space that they decided to replace the beds with bunk beds. I have no clue where they got the bunk beds from, but they managed to get them and they worked. And for some reason, I think it was Voice's bed, but she hasn't net covering it. Oh well. So yeah, they got everything settled up. I can't believe Blake was on part with the three of them when they said Banzai like that. Voice is having trouble adjusting to this, so all four of them are in the same room, and it seems like Team Juniper is also in one room as well. So I'm guessing they put two boys on one bunk and the two girls on the other bunk. But yeah, so they head to the first class, and this professor, he likes to talk about himself, his story. Voice tried to take notes, but I think even a part of her felt like it was a bit boring. And Ruby was doodling and doing all sorts of stuff, and Voice just couldn't handle looking at her. I felt like she was just close to bursting out. But now they're going to fight a monster to see if they can prove themselves. Next time on Ruby. That's about it. It was a short part. I know there's a part 2 after this, so I'll see how that turns out. My reaction is now done.